Hello everybody and welcome back to Cities Skylines 2, where last episode we built this monstrosity, and it probably functions. That's what we can say about it. It probably functions. And we need to be working on developing this area down over here for right now. That is the current goal. Now, I don't think there's any point in a roundabout here, so what I'm actually going to do is we're going to build this road over to about here or so, just to make sure we're not going to have any pillar issues. And then I want to build this road down to about here or so, just past these highways. Then I want to use the curve tool, and we're going to bring this highway down to be approximately right here. And I want to see about curving this highway in about like that. I feel like there's something not quite right here, but the more I look at it, the more right it looks. No, this is the problem that I was feeling right here. You see that offset on the paint lines? That's the problem. Oh boy. That's very minor. It's probably fine. Probably fine. We'll leave it be for now, and I do want to use the curve tool, and I want to bring this guy up and in over here if we can. Surprisingly, it let us do that. Okay. I like it. Now what I want to do is the same sort of thing, but out over this direction, kind of like that. And we do have this area here. I think we'll leave that. The other option would be to try to build a road down this direction. I think we're okay over here, though. The main problem will be, how do we zone this? Yeah, we'll just have to zone it carefully, I think. We can do that right now. This area is basically done. So what that ends up meaning is I'm going to zone this very, very cautiously. So the rule is going to be it gets zoned if every adjacent tile is fully outside of the water, I think. So this one gets zoned, but this one does not. This one wouldn't get zoned because of this. This would get zoned. So then these two would get zoned. These two would get zoned. And then these three would get zoned, and it would just go all the way over like that. And then down this direction, this one would not get zoned, but this one would. This one would not get zoned. It would be something about like that. Okay, that would be how that would end up working. Now, this road needs to get extended over this direction, and we can definitely do that. Before we do that, I kind of want to get this built. This is going to be intriguing. Okay, so the pillar is out over here. So we would end up wanting, I actually want this to be in curve tool, about there. The pillar would be out over this direction, and we'd need to take this then out here and find where this pillar is. It would be about this point. Then this is going to need to head back towards the highway, and then curve out into being roughly parallel with the highway, at which point it would be roughly a straight shot, although I'd want it to come out about here or so. So that probably ends up meaning using the curve tool, having this be about here or so. This whole area can get zoned up, and that's probably going to have some issues, particularly with noise. That would be the expectation for this area, but it can get zoned, so that seems reasonably fine. Next, this would come over 112 meters, so I would want this to be snapped only to angle, and this would get positioned right... Oh, that's in curve mode. Hang on! Right here. Then we would bring it up over this way to go there. And then down, it would need to come down this direction. Does that feel like it's at an angle? It is at a slight angle. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the angle snap. Why is this still snapping to the 90-degree angle there? Okay. Let's just turn snapping off entirely. And this is much closer to where I want it to go. Okay, so that'll be fine for now. And then we can start developing this area down here. So we're going to need to have a bit of a guideline here. I'm going to delete this road, turn snapping back on, and we're going to bring this down 224 meters. Snapping can go back off at this point, other than the angle. This angle snap. And this will need to be 224 meters right here. Okay. With snapping on, we can run this road over this direction. That's an overlapping item. Okay. Well, we'll just bring this in over here. Why is that overlapping, then? When this is at 180 degrees. Let's snap only to the angle. I see. We can just bring it in right here. Okay, sure. That seems fine. No problem whatsoever there. Snapping back on. And at this point, this guy is going to connect down over here. And this is going to need to, in curve mode, end up connecting somewhere up over this way. The question is, do we want to actually bring this down and curve it in kind of like this? And I think the answer to that is broadly yes. I think that's the better way to go there. Okay, so now we're going to need to figure out where our next highway goes, if we have a next highway. At least at this time. I'm also wondering if this is straight. If that isn't straight, I'm going to be sad. I think it probably is. Hopefully straight enough, anyway. So this is going to come down 112 meters, and I want to have this be angle snapped only. So we're going to put this right here. Oh, that's in curve mode. I want this to be in straight line mode. 112 meters. And I'm going to bring this over 112 meters. Then I'm going to bring this down 112 meters. Then I'm going to bring this over 224 meters. Then I'm going to bring it down again 112. Like that. That gives us a guideline to work with. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we don't have another highway here at this time. That is excellent to know. So at this time, we can just bring this guy over to approximately here, although that doesn't feel as straight as I'd want it to. Hang on. We bring this down to here. This goes over. It's straight in the zone grid. It's not straight when we look at the city border. I guess that's okay. So that's fine for now. We want to bring this over 112 meters, so right there. And then this guy would come in at 90 degrees. It doesn't want to snap there, but there we go. And then this would come straight down like that. Then we need to deal with this coastline, right? So the question is, how do we want to do that? Well, I think mission number 1 would be to bring this in approximately like that. Then, actually, is that the mission? I don't think that's the mission. I think mission number 1 is to move this into the complex curve tool. We move this up and then move it over to be about here. And then it can curve in down over here, like that. Then we can straight line this in from here, like so. And then from here, like so. In theory. And it can be something along the lines of that. Then this road needs to be connected up over this way. And this road needs to be run through here. Now that is hitting a pillar issue, which is unsurprising. And we just need to eliminate that for now. And then this connects into this road here. And then we bring up this road at a mildly awkward angle here for this intersection. Okay, we may need to remove that intersection for the time being and rework exactly how that section is going. So it'll end up being something like that, and then using the curve tool We can bring this in, actually using the multi-curve tool. We can then bring this in nice and smoothly there, like that. And then this road can become a very awkward intersection, like that. Thanks, I hate it. We're going to get rid of this. And I'm going to run these into a more sensible intersection. So that's going to come down snapping to angle and guidelines. Only angle and guidelines for now. So I want to bring this out at 180 degrees to this guideline, and then bring that down like so. Then I want to bring this out to be approximately at this guideline. But we're going to need the multi-curve tool. And bring it in about like that to make it a little smoother. It's not as smooth as I'd like, but that is definitely a better intersection. No doubt about that. I wouldn't call it phenomenal. And is this even straight? I'm not convinced that it is. Hang on. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so I'm keeping an eye here. I want this to snap only to
You're tuned
angle.
into Second Moon, the channel where the classics never grow old.
Okay. It's not perfectly straight, but it's pretty close. So I think that'll be fine. And then we can run this one more time. This shouldn't be particularly difficult. So I'm just going to bring that in something kind of like that. And then this guy's going to come out to be... Where's that guideline? Right there? Sure. That's probably close enough. That'll do for now. And then this road can be brought over to here. Now I feel like this isn't straight. Hang on. I'm going to measure it against the edge of my screen. I don't know. It's probably close enough. So we're just going to, I mean, this area is not going to propagate very far, right? So it's probably okay. Even if there's some error, it's not going to propagate too far. So we're going to position this here, here, and here. There we go. And then we need to figure out what exactly we're going to do for ramps over here. So over this way, we're going to need some off ramps. No doubt about that. That is going to end up being with snapping on somewhere around here probably. And that's going to be quite a slope. Yeah, that's not shocking, really. Definitely not shocking. But that is a pretty extreme slope. So what do we want to do about that? Well, first things first, we could bring this out over here. That's a 20% grade. We could bring it out over this direction. And I feel like that's quasi-reasonable to do. Then we can do the same thing out over here. I'd love to bring it out to that intersection. Oh, that's horrific. Okay, so all of these on this side are not going to work. This is considerably worse over here. I also don't like the pillar poking through over here. So to that end, we are definitely going to need, well, we need a section of road right up over here. That's definitely something that needs to happen. So we would need to bring this in about angle snap only, please. Sure, that'll do. Something about like that. This entire area is mildly awkward, but we can just get this area completed. So that's going to end up coming out over this way, about like that. And yes, this is definitely at an angle compared to the city border, but that's okay. And then we're going to bring this guy over 112 meters, really, because we're going to need... Ooh, hang on, we're in curve. Okay, so 112 meters would be right here. Which is only mildly awkward. And by mildly awkward, I mean that's quite the intersection. Once again, this is one of those situations where we should take this out and we should just remake that intersection. So that means that we want to bring this guy out over here. I'm going to use the multi-curve tool. And we're going to bring it in to about here or so, and then that'll curve in like that. Then this is going to need to come out and just in over here. We don't need multi-curve for that. So that'll be relatively okay. Cool. That'll work for the time being. It will definitely do the trick. Then we're going to need off-ramps about here, I think. Yes, that is correct. We're going to need an off-ramp here, which could be potentially interesting. 34.7% grade. Really? I guess that is a pretty steep grade. Okay. Well, for one thing, we need to be in the highway. So this would end up coming in, like, up over here, right? That's a 21% grade there. What if we were able to get this up and over this road? That's definitely slope too steep. I would like to lift it over the road, no doubt about that, but that is a very steep slope. So we might have a hard time finding these on-off ramps over here. We could do it out over this direction, potentially. So that would end up bringing this out like over here. That's giving us overlapping items due to the pillar, but potentially out over here. So it's a pretty wide set of ramps. No doubt about that, but that slope too steep. That's a 33% grade? It's that much different? Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, so we're going to have to do some terrain modification over here. There's no doubt about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this height here, and I'm just going to terraform this to be that same height. Then I'm going to use the slope terrain tool from this point, and we're going to go about like that. And then the slope terrain tool to this point, about like that. Okay, now the question is, can we build this road directly through here? Yes, but it's going to carve into the hill here. So I'd like to put it about here or so. And then we can just do that. I don't know that that's an improvement. I'm going to get rid of this section for right now. And I want to just extend this out to be about here, because that should be just flat. Okay, now what we're going to need to do is get rid of this section of highway, run our highway past here. We're going to have to elevate that up. Run the highway past to right there. And then attempt to connect this up. We're going to need to knock this back a little further, which is fine. That's not a concern at all. But we can do something kind of like that. Okay. Now, in theory, we can put our on-off ramps over here. This may end up being a pillar. Oh, we're not in curve tool. This may end up being a pillar issue in this location, but this is where I'd like to bring these out. Oof. That is horrific. Okay, that slope too steep at a 14% grade. We've built steeper ramps than that. 12%? Still slope too steep. Okay. Let's try this direction real quick. I'd like to bring it up to, ideally, about here. Yeah, pillars are very awkward here right now. That is because we have these two sets of pillars. Okay, we need to take this out and reconnect it. That will make things much better. Now we only have one set of pillars here. It's much flatter, and that will be good. Okay, so now what we need to do is get an off-ramp somewhere around here in Curve Tool. So somewhere around here, ideally. That's a 20% grade there. And what kind of a grade percentage do we need? Actually, an 18% grade works. 19% grade. Cool. Okay, so this one I'd like to bring up over here. That's an 18% grade overlapping items. So we need to move it over a tiny, tiny bit. Overlapping items. This works. Beautiful. I mean, it's not beautiful, but it works. So we're then going to look to extend this road down to here. That is slope too steep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these sections of road, and we're going to bring this down, but we need to re-slope this terrain. So we need to use the slope terrain tool, grabbing this height of this intersection, and just yoop. There we go. So we create a big old slope there. That'll be fine. And we're going to run this down that hill, like so. Then we're going to need to soften this out a bit on these sides. And we're going to need to run this road up to here. Okay, that gets us what we wanted there. Except it's technically inverted. Okay. Yeah, I should have thought of that. So it's... None of that may have been necessary, now that I think about it. Yeah. Because we need to move this out over this way and have these be on-ramps. I don't know if this side is going to be as viable. Actually, yeah, that's reasonably fine. Yeah, I don't think any of that terraformation was technically necessary. Okay, well, this needs to be an on-ramp, which it is. This needs to be an off-ramp, so we need to turn around that directionality, like so. Regardless, this still gets, I think, a little bit smoother than it was. We definitely need to soften the terrain out on this side, and we'll certainly do that. So it'll end up being something kind of like that. I think that's still a little bit better on the terrain. And then there's this area out over here, which is very awkward. Let's soften this out. Okay. And then I want to run this road to be here. And then run this road into here. And then from there into here. Okay. That's an improvement. No doubt about it. Now we need off-ramps here. And the question is, how's that going to go? The answer is probably okay-ish. That's a 21% grade. We can almost certainly just go a little bit wider there. That's a 19, 18, 17. Okay, this is a 15% grade, and that's still apparently invalid shape. That's not actually slope too steep. This is slope too steep. This is viable. It's very wide. But I guess we can do it. Sure. It's very, very wide. And I don't like how wide it is. I feel like we can get that done a lot narrower. There's not that big of a grade there. Okay, come on. I want to delete these. It's giving us overlapping items from the highway here when we try to delete it. Okay, there we go. So, from here, the question is, what if we build this in reverse? That's slope too steep at 20%, but this is allowed. Okay. Looks good. So then we bring this up also in reverse. Yeah, we can get this so much shallower. I like it. We're going to have to turn them around, of course. This one is actually supposed to be an off-ramp. This one's supposed to be an on-ramp. There we go. And then no left turn allowed there. And our highway is going to extend out to the city limits again. So that's going to end up bringing this out to... Snap only to the angle, please. That's going to end up bringing this out to approximately... Oh, we're going to have to change this elevation a bit. Try bumping it up just one smallest elevation tick. Yeah, there we go. That'll do. Okay, well, that was exciting. No doubt about that. There are more of these that we need to do, specifically here. And we know that's potentially going to be a problem. Let's try building them in reverse again. Oh, we're not in curve tool. That would help. So let's turn snapping on, bringing this out to be about here or so. That's giving us a 20% grade. Okay, I feel like we can work with that. This is viable. So building these in reverse definitely seems to be the way to go. This one may or may not be a thing out this way. We're probably going to have to bring it out over this direction or something. Something hideous like this. Yeah, these are all very hideous. So this direction ends up working. This way is going to be tougher, but this is pretty level here. Let's think about simply rebuilding this section of highway right here. So I'm going to use straight line tool here, and we're going to bring this down to approximately, oh, this is not highway at all. Okay, we're going to bring this down to approximately, snap only to angle, as early as we can here in straight line tool. Okay, now I'm going to go into curve tool. And we're going to bring this down. I want to enable the other snapping here. And we curve that in gently, like so. What that ends up meaning is we have a considerably lower area here. So that should, in theory, allow us to maybe utilize this pillar here. Still a 24% grade. Out over this way, it's about a 20% grade. That's a 17.3%, but that's because we're not going down. So we might have to do this in a couple of steps here. So that would end up being something like this, which would then connect in over here. That's a 33% grade. Yeah, that's going to have to come down a little bit faster. So that basically means coming out over here, right? And then in curve tool and turning our elevation step down, we can put this as low as we possibly can. Okay, we're going to have this split off separately. Gotcha. So that's going to come off over this direction. How low can we get it? About here? Okay, we can bring this down to about here then. And then I'd love to see this come in here, but that's still a 33% grade. I mean, that is very steep. No doubt about that. So we may have to change the overall angling of this. This is going to get hideous, isn't it? If we were to take this up over this direction and then bring it back around, continuing to lower it as we go. Oh boy, this is getting really grim. But that works. It's hideous, but it does work. It is technically functional. I'm not sure that we're going to call that good. We're probably going to try to find something slightly better than this snake here. But maybe the snake is the best we can do. I don't really want to affect the terrain here too much. But I suppose we could think about taking this back out. Taking this section of road out. Leveling the terrain at this height to approximately here, which is going to probably create some problems. Extending this road out to here. Rebuilding the highway at this point, which will take us down to here, and merging that in like so. Then looking to bring in this guy, which I'm going to build in reverse here. And we're going to have that split off about here, and ideally merging in somewhere up over here. That technically works. From there, removing this section and this section. Softening the terrain here to clean that up a little. Then, this actually works, remarkably. Bringing this guy in to be about... where are we? About here is probably close enough. And then bring that in there. Can we connect here? Remarkably, yes. So, I mean, that works. We can definitely do that. Now we're just going to need to do this section of Umber Highway, and that is something for next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. Wow, I've been messing that one up a lot lately. And as always, I will see you all next time. We need to figure out what to do with the Elizabeth Highway. We'll get there.